Each year, video game football has some sort of meta. And in this video, we're going to try predicting the meta for college football 26. First, we need to define what actually is a meta. And this is simply just the most popular things you go up against when you're playing online. An example of this would be right here, mid blitz 0. This was a very popular defense that we saw all the time if you played online ever. And then a popular offensive play that you would see a lot was this play whips out of the gun bunch tight end. This was super annoying, super popular. And even on top of that, we can go a step further and say one of the big metas in college football 25 was just using Jalen Milroe and Alabama and just getting loose with them, right? If you played online at all, you probably played against Alabama. They are very, very popular, which means they were meta. Now, we have a bunch of information from the gameplay deep dive, from the launch trailer, and I even played college football 26 a little bit early back in May at EA's headquarters. So I have a decent idea of how this game is playing, and I have some thoughts on what I think could be meta and what could be good early on this upcoming year. And by the way, if you want full offensive and defensive schemes and guides, they'll actually help you win more games, proven by thousands of players just like yourself that play at all different game modes and different skill levels. Check out my website, civil.gg. Right now, with code COLLEGE40, you can get 40% off a full year of everything you need to actually win more games. 98% of our members said they've won more games since joining. That's really, really good. And with that being said, click the link in the description below, and let's get back to the video. One of the biggest things I think is going to be meta this upcoming year is these defensive line stunts. They showed them in the gameplay deep dive trailer, and they also talked about them in the deep dive blog. Now, loops have always been popular in Madden and college football, and this is one of the most popular ones right here, but usually you'll see loops from the linebacker spot, right? Where you'll see someone like Munden Jr. kind of loop around the defensive tackle and get to a spot where they just really struggle to block him. You see back-to-back times, this guy comes free. Now, picture that from the defensive end and the defensive tackle spots. There's a ton of different stunts that you could choose from, and I absolutely, without even drip of doubt, think that there's going to be some sort of meta that comes from this, whether it's a stock defensive line stunt or stock defensive line loop, or it's some kind of makeshift crazy thing that you do. Especially, the one thing I think makes a big difference here as well with these loops is that it's going to even potentially bring back more standard four-man pass rushes. If you play college football 25 right now and you want to get any kind of pass rush with a blitz, you kind of have to go from the second level, whether that be like from a linebacker like we're doing right here, right, with Munden Jr. or Wilson, or from a slot corner. But really, it's a lot of times these linebackers who you kind of have to get them going and manipulating the offensive line. What I think could happen to the D-line stunts is I think they'll be good, but I also think they could be good from more traditional four-down lineman set. So right here, I have the nickel 3-3 over, which you don't have four down defensive linemen, but you have four, just one's a stand-up edge, but you kind of get the idea. Where I think there'll be some combination of something like this with these defensive linemen where you are going to be able to stunt and get them to come free. You can do little things like this right now in the game to almost like, you can almost get like a loop to the outside. We'll see if we get it right here. Where you kind of see like that defensive tackle and that defensive end kind of looped each other just ever so slightly. Let's do it again. Focus on the right side right here. You can kind of see them loop. They almost do. They almost do, but you can't like get it consistently, and they don't always come free. With these stunts, we'll be able to get that to happen consistently with these loops. And with how many I saw when I was there playing college football 26, how many available stunts we had, I think one of them is going to be really, really good and even potentially overpowered. But we'll see. We'll see. Because also, with these stunts, I think they could be exposed in the run game. I also want to point out that there'll be two different ways you can call stunts. One, at the play call screen by holding the corresponding button to any play, and it'll open a little sub menu. Or you can call it from when you're on the field in the little pre-play menu, simply by pressing D-pad to the left, R1 or RB, and then you'll have access to available stunts on your current play. There are 12 unique stunt types available. So think about that, plus how many different formations there are, plus how many different line shifts there are, right? You can pinch your line, spread your line. One of these 12 is absolutely going to be very good. Now, something else I think is going to be very good in college football 26. The biggest obstacle of this becoming meta is that a lot of the top streamers and top players probably don't want to play this way, but I personally love it, is the option game. This past year in college football 25, the option game was decent for a little bit, But there was a long 6-month period where whenever you tried to do any kind of option plays, the ball would just get launched backwards 20, 30 yards whenever you tried to do a speed option. If you mistimed it even the slightest bit, it made them really hard to run without just exposing yourself to huge unnecessary risk. Now, this option pitch bug where it went crazy backwards got fixed near the end of this past year, and from judging just from the gameplay trailer, you saw some kind of late pitches happen where I think these are going to be really good. And when I used them down in Orlando about a month ago, I can confirm they were really good. Right now, I'm in the Go-Go, which is the UNLV playbook. This will be different going into College Football 26. I believe they lost their head coach and their offensive coordinator. Not 100% sure, but it was something like that. This will be an alternate playbook, I was told, for College Football 26, but nonetheless, the option game is going to be very prevalent in a ton of teams' playbooks. They even specified in the gameplay deep dive blog that they added in a whole new option kind of scheme with Rice's new modern option, which I've seen and is very cool. I think the run game is going to be good. I think the run game is going to be explosive, and as a result of the run game just being good, I also think with the upgraded pitches and just them not being automatic fumbles like they were for a decent part of this past year, the option game, especially in the pitches, are going to be very, very good too. Now, what I don't think will be good is, what I don't think will be good is the under center option. So things like flexbone, it's very hard, not impossible. I want to make that clear, not impossible, but I think it's going to be very hard to be able to run the flexbone at a high level. It just always is. A lot of the under center blocking for runs and pass plays are just always kind of iffy. And I don't know if I foresee that being patched and fixed until I actually see it get patched and fixed. It's just consistently in Madden and college football, the under center run game is almost always worse than the shotgun run game, just as a general rule of thumb when talking about online play. So something they said is that they added over 2,800 new plays. And it got me thinking, what new plays could they be adding? And just something that's a matter of fact is that Madden and college football copy each other a ton. And Madden that last year actually killed it in the playbook department, especially with adding new plays. So I have a prediction for what a lot of these new plays in college football 26 are going to be like. There was a few of these in college football 25, but not a ton. I think a big thing they're adding here in college football 26 is going to be these cheat motion is what they call it, wheel plays. There was only a few of them last year in college football, but this year I expect a ton of these, and these are really, really good. I even think there might be more than what we see in Madden. In Madden, they only came in a few different formations, and these were new plays, but when we get out here, these add so much. It's so hard for the defense to defend these motion wheels. They kill man. They cause a bunch of misalignments, and they're a great clear out route. They're a great pull route. They're a great route in general. And I foresee a lot of different motion plays being added into the game. They've even talked about in the gameplay deep dive blog that they're adding in different double motion plays. We don't have any footage of that, but that is something else. So that, one, makes me think about this even more. And two, it's just another style of play. But these types of plays were so good. That motion is so good at just distracting the defense, whether it's online or against the CPU. Those wheels do a lot. Like, you'll see a lot of busted coverage with these wheel routes. And we'll see actually right here. We won't, but we'll just end up attacking somewhere else. Wow. I need that not to happen. I think the motion wheel plays are going to be very, very popular. And then from the motion wheel plays, I think you'll see motion inside zones. I think you'll see motion like dig routes, right? You motion across instead of running. Instead of this guy running this wheel, he's actually going to come back across on like a little dig. I actually think in this playbook, we have an example of it. Let's see. We do. So let's go here. So if you look at this, same motion, now he's on a post. I don't love this post route, but it is kind of an example of what I'm talking about. I just think they'll do a better job with some of these because like this post isn't great. Not even close. And he got drilled. But I do think you'll start seeing some stuff like that, which I think is cool. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. College football, I thought last year did a good job playbook-wise. I was a big fan. Madden last year did a good job playbook-wise. I was a big fan. I think they're just going to keep on killing it, that department. I genuinely have a lot of faith in them. I will say, though, we need motion routes that are good. This post route is terrible. I wish this was just a drag. Seriously, if this was a drag, we could do so many cool things. Instead, this, like, weird post. We throw that rope. We're going to pretend he caught that. And we're going to move on to the next thing I think will be meta. Because these things are so good. You have to run them. If they're in the game, you have to run them. Just don't do that post route. Do the wheels. Do the wheels. From everything I've seen, I think this game's going to be a lot more defensive. And defense isn't really a meta, but rather I think you'll see a lot of games go a lot more defensive orientated. Really, a big thing that you see here in the gameplay deep dive blog is the idea of being able to change up your safety depths and being able to change your safety alignment, which actually makes a massive difference in any style of defense. On top of that, too, they also talked about things like adding in new tackle types, which will help in the open field. And that was honestly one of the biggest reasons why why Couch World 25 was so offense heavy, was because if you got a guy one on one in the open field, you would never get tackled, right? As a ball carrier, you'd always make a miss. And that'd be the difference between a 4 yard gain and a 40 yard gain. That would help so many people out on, they're kind of struggling, but then they hit a drag route. They're able to get out and get loose. And instead, now I'm hoping, and it seems like there's going to be a lot more open field tackling integrity. Also, with that too, I do wonder what the game speed's gonna be like. I know they said that Madden and college football are gonna be about the same game speed now, and if that is the case, my experience from playing Madden in Orlando, and honestly my experience playing college football as well, is that it might be slightly toned down from this previous year. And whenever the game is slightly toned down in terms of game speed, usually a slower game is going to be a little bit more defensive. These fast-paced games is just hard to, I don't know. It can be a little bit more defensive in my opinion. Not always. Actually, even as I say that, I kind of wonder like not always, because also slower game means defenders are slower, so it's easier in pass coverage to dot them up as a quarterback. But I think this game will be a little bit more defensive. I think those safety adjustments, I think the D-line stunts, I foresee some serious pressure happening here in the game, like a serious pass rushing pressure. And I foresee being able to get your safeties in the box to change their alignment, genuinely making a massive, and I mean a massive difference in your play overall. Those safeties at the line of scrimmage are going to help in the run defense, going to help protect the seams against people who want to spam, quick throwing seams at five wide, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's going to be a huge difference maker. All in all, that is a full breakdown of a lot of the things that I think are going to be very meta come College Football 26. I think this game is going to be fun. It seems really cool. I think they're killing the pre-launch process. And so far, everything they've talked about are things that I'm huge advocates of. So I'm pretty excited for it. And if you want access to full offensive defensive schemes that'll actually help you win more games, right now you can get 40% off with code college40. The link to that is in the top of the description, and you'll unlock a full year. The next year you're locked in and have access to everything you need to actually win more games, proven by thousands of players just like yourself. Any game mode, any skill level, link top of the description.